Hello, and welcome to the January 26th edition of the Fredericksburg Standard Radio Post news broadcast. I'm Sam Sutton, and I'm joined by Brooke Nevins and Reed Graff, our sports editor. We're going to first talk about Dooley's. After over 99 years, they are closing their doors. Brooke had written a story about that. Obviously, it's on the front page of the paper. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your
Of course,
time?
yes. So, as we all have heard, Tim Dooley, the owner, third-generation owner, is closing the doors of Dooley's, the beloved local legend. And I got the privilege to talk to Dooley. So there's more updates. He did put out an announcement in the paper last week that he was closing the store, and that I know that circulated around the community. But we got a special feature on the front page, and I really hope that I did that justice. Did Mr. Dooley justice? Did the legacy of the store justice? I personally grew up going to Dooley's. I'm from here. I'm from Fredericksburg, and my Oma would take me out to lunch once a month, and we would go out and get a toy, a 98-cent little farm animal toy from Dooley's. And I know that a lot of people here and a lot of visitors can relate to that experience. So it's a very, very special place. A lot of, we have Blue Waltz perfume here, that one of 3 places in the nation where you could get this perfume. So it's got relics. It's got it's nostalgia inducing place. But like all good things, it has come to an end. Mr. Dooley said that because of COVID, the supply chain, which is, just giving everybody trouble, but especially in such a kind of a niche business that he's got with the variety store, he's getting about 30% of orders filled. So all the stuff that he's sending out, all the money he's paying, he's only getting 30% back, and he just can't really sustain a business that way. So unfortunately, that is COVID is kind of expediting that process. He wanted to keep it open to 100 next year. 2023 would have been 100 years open. His father, John, and then his grandfather, Charles, opened and ran the store. So, but he's going to keep it open through the spring. He'll have a end of spring sale, and so go there while you can. But yes, I'm very, very honored to have been able to write that story.
Yeah. When I moved here in 2019, I saw we had a Dooley's 5 and dime store. I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
I was like, to have a 5 and dime store, and I went in there Christmas of 2019. Me and my brother was in town just visiting, and we bought 2 model race cars that we raced down the street a lot.
Yeah, there's all those toys, the jacks, the silly putty, Gumby, all those kind of American traditions are all there. So it's a sad day when it closes, but it's been a wonderful thing for our community. Yeah, so
check out our story on the front page. More importantly, just visit Dooley's while you still can, and just pick something out to support him. He's definitely supported the community for a long time, and we wish him well and his family well on his next journey. The next thing I want to talk about was the new athletic director that was announced at the Fredericksburg Independent School District special meeting. Y'all want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this kind of is sports.
A little bit of a tandem one here.
Yeah. So education, sports, but I went to a special session held by the school board board of trustees last night. And they immediately went into executive session, and after that announced that Wendy Dietrich, who is currently the primary school principal, has been announced as the athletic director following the vacancy left by Coach Moffitt. So Wendy Dietrich is the athletic director, but Reed can go into a little bit more about how the head football coach position is still open.
Yeah, it's definitely still open. As you all know by now, that it was split into 2 positions not that long ago after the Lance Moffitt departure, and how that all went down. They decided to make it 2 different positions. And the interesting thing about the Wendy Dietrich hire is that we knew the head football coach position was limited to internal, and they had made that very clear that they had felt that they could get their guy from who they already had on staff. What's interesting is that the AD position was external. It was anyone. It was open to anyone. Yet they still decided to go internal. But and this is just my opinion. I think Wendy Dietrich makes a lot of sense. They're a family that's been in the community for a long time. Both her and her husband has spent a lot of time as coaches. Of course, you said she was a volleyball coach, and we'll try to have more on her history and what made her qualify for this position in next week's paper. But
Yeah.
I from what I can tell on our Facebook, the reactions are mostly positive, and I think Wendy's going to do a great job. And she kind of fits this. She's coming from an administrative role already, so I think Wendy was, from my opinion, I think Wendy was a good hire, and my experiences with her have always been pleasant, and so I'm excited for her.
Yeah.
But that does still leave the head football coach position. And when we last talked to Joe Rodriguez, superintendent of FISD, last week, he had said that they didn't want to make a final decision on the football coach until they had the AD, because they wanted the AD to have a say. So now they have their athletic director. Time will tell how long it is until we get the head football coach. I'm going to try and talk to Joe sometime this week, and we'll hopefully have an update for y'all on that by next week's paper. Maybe we'll even have a head football coach. No telling. But either way, we'll have some kind of update on that situation, and maybe we can get what the next step is, because when I last talked to Joe, there really hadn't been a whole lot of effort made quite yet on that position, because they wanted to get AD done. So maybe we can start expediting that process and seeing what who the next guy in charge of Billy football is going to be.
Yeah, and we'll definitely obviously keep following that, and
we'll post things on social media as it happens, just like we did with Wendy yesterday.
Yeah,
but
I remember I saw that last night. I was like, oh wow, it's like unexpected to me, but it's really good for her and her family. So I can't wait to see what she does for FISD in that role. Going forward, Catholic Schools Week is coming up next week. That's always a really big thing, and it's just fun to see the kids, continuing their education and doing so much for that school and for the community. And we'll have a full page spread on that in next week's paper, and a full page advertisement. And so keep a lookout for that. There's also a schedule posted on the St. Mary's School Facebook page, so take a look at that. That'll also be in our paper as well, coming this next week. It's just some of the events will have already happened by that time, but there'll still be several others. So keep a lookout for that, and for some cute photos. I got to go take some pictures over at the in some classrooms yesterday, at their mass last Thursday, and at a spelling bee. So that was always makes for great photos when you're taking pictures of students doing their work. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. The next thing obviously is sports.
And this is going to be a big week for sports.
Yeah.
It's a really big week, especially adding that we have the AD announcement. I'm hoping to have an interview with Wendy, Miss Dietrich, in this week's paper. Whether that goes in the front or sports, it'll be sports related, and that'll be in there. This past week, we had a lot of basketball stuff. We had really long stories with quotes and interviews from both boys and girls basketball for Fredericksburg. Both had big wins this week. We had the feature over the girls win over Bernie, which was a huge game. I think it was one of the highest attended girls basketball games I've ever been to. Wow. It was a great crowd. And then the boys get the overtime win over Bandera. We had great quotes from senior Caleb Parton and Coach Kamen, and so we'll have that. We had that in this week's paper, and we'll of course follow up with that next week with basketball, because there's still a lot going on. We're getting further into district. We're kind of getting to the back half, so things are starting to get serious. Then of course Harper, we had an update on Harper basketball. The boys lit it up from deep from the 3-point range and a win over Johnson City, and then the girls did their thing like they've been doing. So they took care of Johnson City, and I think they're sitting second in district right now. They played San Saba. Yes, both teams did yesterday, or 2 days ago. I'm sorry, and neither of them came up with a win, but they are still primed to hopefully make the playoffs for both the boys and the girls. And then we had some other stuff in there. We had some heritage stuff, a lot of middle school stuff. So we had a lot of Fredericksburg middle school basketball results, St. Mary's basketball. But what I really want to highlight is next week's paper. Next week's paper could have a lot of important information in it. It's going to have, hopefully, an interview with the new athletic director. It will hopefully have information on the head football coach position and what's going on there. We'll have softball pictures and an interview with Coach Kamer. I'm hoping to talk to her after their scrimmages on Saturday. I want to go talk to the baseball team because they're starting up. I want to hopefully get some more basketball coverage. But also another thing to keep in mind, next week on February 3rd, I believe it's February 3rd. If it's not next week, it's the week after. The new realignment is going to be released for UIL, and that's a big deal for a lot of teams. I mean, some of the things that, and this is all speculation, but you could see Marble Falls drop down to 4A and end up being in the Billies district. You could see Harper moving facing a lot of teams north and east, and because there's not a whole lot south of them as far as Division I. So could be a lot of noise and a lot of important changes for Gillespie County teams. And so if that comes, I'm trying to remember the exact date. If it's not in next week's paper, it'll be in the one after. But definitely an important thing in local sports to keep an eye on coming up in the next few weeks. Awesome. And also, we are trying to revive the podcast. I'm working on it. I'm messing with the format and how we're going to do it, and we might change it up a little bit, but I'm trying to bring it back. If not this week, maybe next week, but I'll keep you guys posted on that.
Awesome. And then last but not least, Rock and Vine has come out. Always a great publication. We got talking about night skies, dark sky community on the front page of it, and we got a lot of good features on some breweries. Madeline Watson also wrote a story about Brooks Bubble Bus before she left, and it's in there. So definitely check that out. It's always a really good publication. Kimberly Giles is the one who leads that here, and she always does a great job. So you can find that on newsstands anywhere. You can find it in this week's newspaper. So definitely keep a lookout for that. I think that's all that we got this week. All. Yeah. As always, thank you for reading. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to Reed's podcast, and keep following us as we've got some big things going on. I'm Sam Sutton. I was joined by Brooke Nevins and Reed Graff, and this has been the January 26th edition of the Fredericksburg Standard Radio Post news broadcast. Thank you.
Peace.